I'm going to call the meeting to order, please. And agenda item 2.1, adoption of the agenda for the February 27, 2018 regular meeting of council. Recommendation that the agenda for the regular meeting of council be adopted as amended, item 8.4. And Councillor Blanchette?
To add an item, please.
Okay. And
It'll be 11.1.
It'll be 11.1?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have a seconder, please? Okay, Torgerson. All in favor of adoption of the agenda as amended? Carried. Adoption of the minutes of the previous regular meeting of council. Recommendation that the minutes of the February 13, 2018 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented. Blanchette and Salt. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 6.1, Canoe Valley Community Association. Request for community hall rental fees to be waived. Recommendation that the community hall rental fees be waived for Amber Flat and the Canoe Valley Community Association for 1 hour a week from February 28, 2018 to April 25, 2018, subject to the applicant providing liability insurance with the Village of Valemount named as an additional insured party in the amount of $2 million. A damage deposit and cleaning fee will also be required from the applicant. Motion, please. Salt and Torgerson, open for discussion. Councillor.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed that they're partnering with the community VC Kinnickers. I was just wondering why they didn't choose to run the program there if they're partnering with Kinnickers, as it would be free for them, I'm assuming. Okay, I don't know. Councillor Salt?
There isn't sufficient space in their new location. Canoe Valley Community Association has clothing racks and things all over that area, and so there really isn't sufficient space. And on the other side of the Lions Hall is where they kind of have all their office equipment set up, so there wasn't going to be sufficient space for them to be able to move around and play.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Is that answer your
Query? Okay. Is there any further discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Reading file. Is there anything that council wishes to bring forward? Yes, Councillor Torgerson.
I'd like to highlight the statement from the Regional District Chair regarding the PTV decision, and I concur with the sentiments. I am disappointed that they are cutting back in service here in the north, and I'm wondering that with the cancellation of tolls in the lower mainland, and now the entire province footing the bill of bridge replacement eventually, are the residents south of Hope equally prepared to take on to foot the bill of public transit in the north?
Would you like to make a motion, please, that the Village of Valemount does write a letter and ask for a response to some of your concerns and questions? I have spoken with the Minister of Transportation. She has phoned me several times, and this was not in her favor either, but I should like to suggest that the Village of Valemount also send a letter similar to the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George. And I did tell Minister Trevina that it would be a real hardship for the people here. And I feel that if they're not going to provide passenger service, they shouldn't be allowed to take freight either, that perhaps someone else would come forward with a smaller, even something that just takes maybe 20 passengers or less, and let them have the freight business as well. So it's open for discussion, Council.
Well, I'm just my main concern here is with the provincial government lowering rates within the lower mainland and allowing, and while still putting much time and effort into this decision, what is what is the recourse? I just want a question, just that question answered. What, now that our service has been disrupted here in the north, what is the provincial recourse?
Okay. Would you like to make that into a motion that we submit a letter to the Minister of Transportation?
I would.
Okay, and the seconder, Councillor Blanchette. Okay, and the motion is what the provincial government is going to, what their recourse is about lowering the cost to the Lower Mainland and yet turning their back on, well, not turning their back, but you know what I mean.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, yes. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Not to the motion on the floor.
Not to the motion on the floor. Okay, so that's been moved and seconded by Councillor Blanchette that we write Minister of Transportation Claire Trevena a letter and pointing out Councillor Torgerson's concerns. And I believe that's a concern to everyone around here. And it's unfortunate, but it seems that the Lower Mainland is being favored. And hardship is being imposed upon the people in the north central part of British Columbia. And it's a very severe hardship because there are some people that do not drive and yet they have to go to either Prince George or Kamloops or Edmonton or wherever for services, and they have no way of getting there now. So, okay, yes, Councillor Blanchette.
It's also, it was brought up to me that some of the businesses that hire outside of the village that's how they get their workers. So now those employees don't have any way to get here.
So it's a real hardship.
It is, yeah.
Yes. And, the comments that have been reaching me too is that it's very divisive in the province. Very divisive. Yes, Councillor.
Actually, we'll add something to the motion on the floor. If it can be incorporated and pointed out. Because there are some areas in the North Okanagan that for some time now have had public transportation between say smaller satellites communities like Vernon to Armstrong to Enderby. And I'm sure that some of those public transportation vehicles do not pay for themselves in terms of a fee for the cost of running those buses. They're the smaller type buses, granted, but still. For those buses to run back and forth from Vernon to Enderby and back on a schedule, and that's public transportation.
Okay. But who operates?
The province.
Oh, the province does.
BC Transit.
BC.
Okay.
It's part of transit.
Okay.
And I believe there is also a service from Kamloops to Clearwater, which is part of transit, which also stops in Barrier. So some of that has been going on for a while. So that has been publicly funded. I don't know where the source of that funding is, but...
So does council want that incorporated into the letter that's going to be written, or do you want to suggest that a separate letter be written? Yes, Councillor Torgerson?
I think without knowing the who's and the what's, so who it's benefiting and how is it being paid for, I think our letter to Minister Trevena can simply state that there are other public transportation options within the interior, and that same benefit is not being extended to the north.
Okay. So that can be pointed out. Is that satisfactory, Councillor?
Yeah, I think that's the gist of what we can incorporate in the letter, that there are alternatives. We're just not...
The minister is very concerned about this, and, she has given me her cell phone number to call her, and I have, and we've discussed it, so she's concerned about it, but she's probably waiting for some ideas and suggestions, and I just said I would take away their freight business. I don't know if anybody has ever shipped anything by bus, but it's very, very pricey. And most buses have the trailer behind that's full of freight. So, okay, if there's no further discussion, and Ms. Shepherd and Mr. Davey, you've got the resolution intent.
We do, Your Worship, and you'll
Okay.
be able to review the letter before
Okay.
you sign it, too.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything further? Okay, all in favor? Carried. And in the reading file, does any other councillor have something to bring forward from the reading file? Yes, Councillor Salt?
Just bring to attention everyone, the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association call for resolutions. I know we put forth a very good one last year, and that's definitely on the radar, so that's a good thing. But just thought I'd mention it in case you wanted to think about it for the next meeting.
Okay. Does any council member have anything at present that you want to bring forward? Okay. If councillors have anything else, I have been very concerned from some of the municipalities that have been phoning and wanting support because of the hardship that has been imposed upon them with respect to even the city of Oliver. Now, the Premier of Alberta has not rescinded any decision. However, she has just put it in abeyance, pro tem. And I don't know how council feels about the 5 key business organizations, BC business organizations, the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, the Business Council of British Columbia, the Independent Contractors and Business Association, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, and the BC Chamber of Commerce, with respect to their open letter to Premier John Horgan and Cabinet. And we did have that presentation here on November the 28th at that council meeting. And it is still a very real concern that the CNR train will be bringing tankers through Valemount, and it's a very real concern that our people here are in a very hazardous position. And it would be very different if, as they say here, 157 federal conditions, as well as 37 additional provincial conditions, were met. And that they have spent millions of dollars abiding by that. And it leaves a $7.4 billion investment in our economy gone. And that pays for health and education, etc. And so, if council looks at page 19 of 44, it actually strongly support and somewhat support that 75% of British Columbians who are in favor of the pipeline being built. And I would entertain a motion that we send a letter in support of those business organizations and the 75%. Pardon?
Page 44.
Page 19 of 44. You don't have page 19? Yes, Councillor Torgerson.
The pie chart, Councillor, at the bottom of that reading file.
You have the copy now? Okay,
Sure.
good, okay. Okay. Do you have a copy of the open letter?
Yeah.
So is council interested at all in taking, in writing a letter in favor? Yes, Councillor
I
Torgerson?
move that we submit a letter to Premier Horgan and Cabinet that focuses on the benefits of this pipeline. I don't think bringing up the negativity of the CNR and or its cargo helps our plight in this support letter. So strictly focusing on the benefits.
Yes, I have all of the benefits here in, it's a couple of years old. However, the benefits are here. And they've invested $81 billion in Canada just in 2014. Payments to governments average about $17 billion per year. And that goes for health and education, etc. And I do have, I've been asking for more information. I can share this with council. Annual tax revenue paid to the regional district will total over $4 million
Per year?
per year. Yes. And the expansion pipeline will account for $1.8 billion of this annual tax revenue to the regional district of Fraser Fort George. Yes, Councillor.
Let's not forget the downstream benefits
That's right.
of the property tax bonanza.
Yes.
I think it's going to be totaling well over $500 million over
Yes.
20 years.
That's right. And I just wanted to point out that I did get 3 phone calls that there were local residents, they had to stop at the tracks, and they counted 116 tankers going through Valemount. And that is a concern to me. I know that we won't point it out to Premier Horgan, but that is a concern.
I count those every day.
Do you?
Every day. But it's not going to restrict that traffic because that product is going to a different market
Okay.
versus pipeline product going to another market.
Okay. Okay. It still concerns me. Yeah. Okay.
And the potassium nitrate that's just ahead of that
Yes.
oil tankers too.
I know that. I saw those in Melville. Yes, Councillor Reimer?
I'd be happy to second the motion and,
Okay.
you know, yeah. It's unfortunate that we're in such a polarization on this issue. It's, and that there is no middle ground. But I do agree that highlighting the benefits
Yes.
of having this pipeline built as opposed to what's negative,
Yes.
I think we've got to keep highlighting those benefits as opposed to being negative about it.
It's what BC is doing is unconstitutional. It's,
You know, highlighting the
Yes.
negativity part of it and
Okay.
all the other things.
I would let the business organizations do
If,
that.
I think in a way we can count ourselves somewhat fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
If we were south of the 49th, this is why a lot of things don't ever get done down there. Because if we were a province or a state south of the 49th, every one of those ones would tell the federal government, go home to Washington and leave us alone. Thank you very much. That's the way they run their little jurisdictions down there. And this would be going on forever. So that's why nothing gets done. At least we have some reasonable expectation that we can get some things done here.
Okay. It was pointed out to me by one of these business organizations representatives that one of the conditions for British Columbia the province of British Columbia to join the Confederation of Canada was that the infrastructure had to be here too, which is the CNR rail and the CP rail. Yeah, that was their condition, otherwise they wouldn't join Confederation. So I thought, well, this is interesting. I'm learning a lot. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. If there's nothing further from the reading file, we'll go on to administrative reports, 8.1. And the recommendation is that Mr. J. Lee of the Yellowhead Motel and Ms. Nima Kay of the Super 8 Valemount be appointed to the Tourism Valemount Committee for a period of 1 year. What is Council's wish? Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Torgerson. Is there any discussion? Yes, Councillor.
I'd like to thank the new hoteliers for putting their name forward.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.2, Robson Valley Region Advisory Committee nomination. And the recommendation is that Tanya Russell be nominated for appointment to the Robson Valley Region Advisory Committee. Council? Yes, Councillor Reimer? Okay, Councillor Reimer, and seconded by Councillor Blanchette, that Tanya Russell be nominated for appointment to the Robson Valley Region Advisory Committee. Any discussion? Hearing none. Yes?
That leaves 2 openings from this jurisdiction?
I think that just leaves 1 now.
1?
Yes.
Do you mind if I take this to the Tourism Valemount meeting on March 6th? See if there's any interest from any of the tourism
Just to see if
operators?
there's any interest, but we can't make any...
No, terrific,
Yes,
yep.
okay. Good. All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.3, parcel tax roll review panel appointments. Pursuant to Section 204 of the Community Charter, 3 members of council be appointed as members of a parcel tax roll review panel for the purpose of reviewing and authenticating the following: Village of Valemount Cranberry Lake Road, Highway 5 West, sanitary sewer local area service parcel roll, and the addition of newly created parcels to the Highway 5 West local service area number 1, a water parcel tax roll, and the addition of newly created parcels to the water treatment parcel tax roll. And 2, that the sitting of the parcel tax roll review panel be held in council chambers, Village of Valemount Municipal Office, with a date and time between March 19 and March 30 to be confirmed by council as part of this resolution. I would be available to chair this meeting on March 19 and March 20. Do I have volunteers or? Yes, Councillor? Ms. Shepherd, yes.
We have 2 separate resolutions for this, please.
You want 2 separate resolutions? Okay. So number 1 is as I read. Motion, Blanchette and Torgerson. Okay. Councillor Reimer, are you around on March 19 or 20?
I looked at this and I feel somewhat conflicted.
Okay.
Not in a direct conflict, but somewhat conflicted in the sense that I have acted for some of the buyers and developers of some of these properties.
All right. Mr. Davey told me that it shouldn't take more than an hour, probably like 30 minutes. So, okay, if you feel that you are conflicted, that's fine. Councillor Blanchette, would you sit on that committee? Okay. And Councillor Salt? Okay. All right, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your worship.
Yeah, okay.
So if we can just get the first motion and then
Yes.
the second. Yeah.
And then the second one, okay. So if there's no further discussion on number 1, recommendation 1, all in favor? Carried. And number 2, that the sitting of the parcel tax roll review panel be held in council chambers, Village of Valemount Municipal Office, on either March 19 or 20. And we can set the time with Mr. Davey, okay? And to be confirmed by council as part of this resolution. So, Councillor Torgerson and Councillor Reimer. With Councillors Blanchette, Salt, and myself on this committee. Okay? Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.4. The Valemount Secondary School Senior Girls Basketball Team request for grant and aid. The recommendation is that the Valemount Secondary School Senior Girls Basketball Team be awarded a grant and aid totaling no more than $200 to assist the team with provincial championship travel expenses. Councillors Blanchette and Torgerson. Any discussion? We wish them well. Yes, Councillor Salt.
Congratulations, the
Yes.
girls played very hard and very well and represented Valemount with
Yes.
excellence, and
For sure.
so very proud of them.
Okay, so when they are advised that they will be getting $200, please tell them that we're very proud of them. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 10.1, council reports. I'll start with Councillor Blanchette.
So the 15th, we had a housing committee. Councillor Reimer was in the sun. So we discussed the CBT application that they put forward and housing needs, of course, that we're so desperate for. So things are moving forward and positively in that direction. On the 22nd, we received all of the CBT applications for that committee. We have 12 really good applications this year, and the committee members are primed and ready to go. And again, I'd like to thank them because it's a volunteer position and it's a lot of hard work, and I just want to thank them all publicly for that. And on the 26th, I attended a new collaborative called Elder Care, and it's a great team. It's run out of Northern Health. There's doctors, there's paramedics, there's home care workers, huge. And so we're hoping that we can really find out who needs what, where they are, and get it done. So we've got a lot of positive energy on that committee. And that's it.
Thank you. Well, Councillor Reimer, we're admiring your suntan.
But even in the sun, I can still get some work done.
Of course.
And I Skyped into a special meeting with Valemount Community Forest on Thursday, the 22nd. And I have kept up to date with everything that's going on in the housing situation.
Thank you. Are you sticking around for a while, or?
Only as long as I have to. No, I do have an escape plan for later this week.
Push that button.
And I do have to drive my diesel back home.
Okay, good for you. Thank you, Councillor Reimer. Councillor Salt?
Well, unlike Councillor Reimer, I don't have the excuse of being in the sun, and I have nothing to report for council this week.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Torgerson?
The 21st, I had a VARTA board meeting, and on the 22nd, I was here in person for a special board meeting of the Valemount Community Forest. And I'm here before you now.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to start, instead of the first day after the last council meeting, with yesterday. It was probably the most fun and the most interesting, and at least a half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and Mr. Davey accompanied me, and this was the elementary school teacher and helpers brought grades 2, 3, and 4. And they all met here. I think there must have been at least 20, okay? And they all sat down, and they had very good questions, very interesting questions and wise questions. And we had a lot of fun with them. We had a few laughs. One of them asked me, it was a less serious question, but it was serious to the student. Who was my boss? And I said, everybody in this town. But they were very, very, very well behaved. All of them were well behaved. Not one of them had to be spoken to for correction of any kind. And I think Mr. Davey enjoyed them too.
Fantastic, Your Worship.
Yeah. So we gave them some snacks, and healthy snacks and juices, and they walked here from the school and then they walked back. So, yeah. And now to the less exciting stuff. I had a call from a representative of UBC asking about vacation housing. And we talked for about 45 minutes, and I did advise that we don't have that many here. Most of them are B&Bs outside the municipal boundaries, but we do have some, and I did report on the ones who live next to me for almost 20 years, as well as others, and that there have been no official complaints to the Village of Valemount with respect to short-term rentals. Yeah, so there was that call, and because of the inclement weather and the highway conditions, I joined or participated in the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George Committee meetings for the budget on the Wednesday and the board meeting on the Thursday. And I would say that it's not as interesting nor inspiring to be on a teleconference. In fact, it can get quite boring when you don't see the people face to face. But that's the way it was. And on last Tuesday, Silvio Gislamberti, the Economic Development Officer, and I both attended the RVR meetings in McBride. Regional District staff came from Prince George, and we met the new coordinator who has been hired. And on the 23rd, there was the local government committee meeting with regarding the Columbia River Treaty that's will be upcoming in 2024, and the negotiations with the Americans. And we had a teleconference with a report from a federal staff member, as well as Ms. Eichenberger from the Ministry of Energy in Victoria. And I think that was about it. I have been getting quite a number of phone calls with respect to the opposition to the Kinder Morgan pipeline, lots of them. And they asked that council do something about it. And I think that's about it. And we're here tonight. Yes?
I forgot to add that we have the public presentations for the CBT applications on Monday night. Starts at 5 o'clock in the vestibule. The basketball team, the girls' basketball team will be doing snacks and stuff. And it's important for everybody to come out and listen to the applications and to vote.
So this is in the vestibule of the high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Blanchette. Okay, so if there's nothing further, recommendation is that the verbal reports provided by Mayor Townsend and Councillors Blanchette, Reimer, Salt and Torgerson be received. Torgerson and Blanchette, all in favor? Carried. Motion, please, to receive the outstanding council... Oops,
sorry,
sorry.
Worship.
Oh, 11.1.
11.1.
Yes, Councillor Blanchette.
Okay, so Dr. Cater brought it to my attention that they've been having trouble having airplanes land for medical reasons here. There are runway lights, but they need a system called PAPI. It's a precision approach path indicator. So I'd like to make a motion if staff could look into this and get back to us about the possibility of getting this.
Mr. Davey.
Your Worship, thank you for the question. The report we brought last council meeting to approve the NDIT proposal grant covers that.
Oh, okay.
So between the two grants we've applied for in the previous about a month and a half, we'll cover both sets of these lights, or so we hope.
Okay.
So we should be hearing in the next few weeks, and we'll certainly be bringing a report back for council on that.
Good.
Thank you.
Do you want to advise Dr. Cater accordingly?
Yeah, I told him I would.
Okay, thank you. And if he has any questions, to call Mr. Davey. Okay? Is that
Absolutely,
all
Your
right?
Worship.
Yes.
And just to clarify that, yeah, so right now, without the lights, there is no nighttime operations.
Okay.
So it certainly is a concern, hence what we've got on it. But again, it's a pretty steep price tag, so hopefully those grants will come through.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So we motion to receive that, Councillor Blanchette, and seconded by Councillor Salt. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 12.1, outstanding council resolutions and project filer. Motion that the list of outstanding previous resolutions in the project file tracker be received. And Reimer and Salt. Is there any discussion or questions from council? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 14.1, public comments. Are there any public comments this evening on agenda items discussed by council?
Eugene Jaley from Valemount, BC. I believe not that long ago there was a study done on the Highway of Tears. One of the recommendations that came was the lack of public transport as a cause for the missing and murdered women. And I would like to point to, this was a recommendation made, is that we continue to have transportation.
Okay.
To be added into the letter as well. And on another comment on the airport tracking system, BC Ambulance now has nighttime flying capability, but they need the trackers to be able to land.
Thank you. Okay, are there any further comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of receipt? Oh, I need a motion. Mover and a seconder. Blanchette and Torgerson. Okay, all in favor? Carried. I should like to, I don't know if this is the time, but Councillor Salt, perhaps a resolution could be formed for the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association with respect to Highway 16. I know that the NCLGA has dealt with this in previous conventions about the Highway of Tears. And I think it's Highway 16, which is a Yellowhead Highway. Okay. Yes.
And there has been some recent addition of BC Transit between, more so between Smithers and Terrace, but also including from Vanderhoof, but not enough. Not enough. And the TCYHA are very much well aware of this, and they've been following this discussion as well. So we have a upcoming teleconference meeting, and I'll ask that be added to the agenda that me.
And perhaps it can be formulated into a resolution coming from the Village of Valemount.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you want to do that now or at the next meeting?
We can maybe work on it and have it brought to the next meeting.
Good, sounds good. Okay, thank you. So, agenda item 15.1, notice to proceed to in-camera meeting, recommendation that council proceed to an in-camera council meeting for consideration of 3 items per section 90, 1C and K, and 2B of the community charter to discuss matters related to C, labor relations or other employee relations, K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that, in the view of council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. And 2B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party. Motion, please. Okay. Salt and Torgerson. All in favor? Carried. We're doing well. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Yes.